we touch our next story. You know, these could never be said to be best of seasons in our country. Labor is inhibited by laws such as gross violation of labor laws, violation by employers, politicization and marginalization of labor unions, and sundry issues. In the current face-off between organized labor and government, Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, and the National Economic Council, NEC, have prevailed on labor to shelve its planned nationwide strike scheduled for Tuesday, October 3. To the AGF, any action by labor would be a violation of subsisting court order, and to the NEC, the NEC is asking for more time for government to act. Who blinks first? But first, let's share the story by TVC's Femi Akonde with you. Let's go.
The threat of a nationwide strike has caused a scare for governments at all levels. Now the National Economic Council, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima, is deploying all options at its disposal to avert a shutdown that will worsen the situation in the country. The state governors, who are a critical group of the National Economic Council, are now making frantic efforts in dialogue and consultations with the state chapters of organized labor to shelve the strike and save citizens from further hardship.
NEC actually expressed genuine concern about the situation in the country and appreciates the concern by labor to have those issues addressed. And that is why NEC is appealing for patience, is appealing for time to be able to address the concerns of labor.
The National Economic Council also had presentations from special presidential committees on the assessment of the impact of flood in some parts of the country. Also, the fiscal and tax reforms, and a report on the extent of the palliative distribution at the sub-national levels.
Staff of the committee, and so they came up with 3 categories and categorized states in the 3 categories: category A, category B, and category C. States that are categorized in the A group are states that to them have over 15 points, most affected areas.
Members of the council have received the sum of $2 billion from the federal government as part of the palliative, and also work is on progress by all members of the council, and the council urged members to redouble effort to alleviate the sufferings of the Nigerians.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation gave updates on the excess crude account balance, the stabilization account, and the development of natural resources account. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, then, let's hear this story down. Well, we are a strike-weary country, if you ask me.
Yes, the truth is the strike is going to worsen the economic situation we're already in. I am inclined to tell labor to tarry a while. But the truth of the matter is that, see, except you are living on planet Mars, that's when you will know that things are getting worse for the people.
Mm.
You understand? Now, the reforms being embarked upon by this government are done in good faith. But the effects of the reforms, you understand, it has negative side effects. And what Labour is asking, there are things Labour is asking for that cannot be done immediately, that will be done in a long time. But there are some that I feel could be done immediately. Or, for example, they're asking for a wage award. You know, that, okay, they know that
increase.
No, of course, the minimum wage will be accommodated in the next budget. But while you're waiting for minimum wage, the workers having issues. You understand? You know, they're having issues. They want to buy this, they want to buy that. They're also talking about what's the program for the palliatives you want to give to the nano entrepreneurs. That is the smallest businesses.
Yeah.
You understand? What are the modalities? You know, these are questions that are begging for answers. These are the president, the federal government has said, we will do this, we will do that. You know, when, how, what are the plans on ground? I think that, I hope that on October 1st, the president, in his broadcast, he will address some of these issues. I just hope that whatever the president says will be enough to placate labor. But the truth of the matter is, I think this government needs to talk more. I think the government needs to act faster. You know,
Time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence. That's the truth. They're also asking for tax exemptions, for example, for some of the workers and all of that. So I don't think this should take time. And there are certain things that the labor minister cannot undo. I mean, there are some decisions he cannot take. You know, he has met with them. The other time I was saying that, okay, labor, calm down. This labor minister has just come in, he's trying to study the system and all of that. But he has met with them. And there are some decisions that only the president can take. So I hope that in his Independence Day broadcast, he will address some of these issues. You know, but I want this government to communicate better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you have one government labor talk too many breaking down, you begin to suspect some suspicion, mutual suspicion. You know, nobody trusts anybody anymore.
Yes, and that's why I'll continue to encourage the government to move fast on these matters. On the matter of minimum wage, for example, the president said in one of his earliest speeches after his inauguration that the workers deserve a living wage, that this is the time for us to think of a living wage for workers. And I was impressed because that was the first time I was meeting with governors, you know, when he said that. So by now, meetings, you know, around what the next minimum wage should be. And the consequential additions to people's wages across board. Because when you come up with a minimum wage, every worker benefits from it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because you could say, okay, minimum wage, the junior workers, consequential adjustment to their wages, yes.
Yeah.
Let's say level 1 to 6, the percentage would differ to what people on level 7 to 15, 17 will get, but everybody will get something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, once they add to the salaries of level 1 to 6, they will eventually catch up with their bosses. You know, that's why everybody must get something. So if you get 20%, maybe Paul will get 40. So it depends on the negotiation. And these negotiations take time. So that's why I'm saying by now, it ought to have begun because it's going to be a long process. So by now, it ought to have begun, and Labour will see clear signs of commitment to solving that problem.
Oh, yeah.
Then on the issue of even compressed natural gas fired vehicles and all that, Labour and other Nigerians need to see what government is doing. Government needs to come up with timelines to say, okay, we are importing 10,000 buses in the first instance, and those buses will arrive at the Nigerian port at so time. Somebody needs to be addressing us on the plans that are being made to mitigate the ill effects of subsidy removal. We cannot pretend that this has made life difficult for many Nigerians, because food prices have gone up.
Oh, yeah.
We are such
me?
an import-dependent nation that the current exchange rate has literally impacted on everything.
Terribly.
Everything. Yes. Food prices, it has impacted on virtually everything. So something must give. The Naira, for example, that is sliding, that ensures that fuel prices are very high at this time. Government needs to let the people know what they are doing. These are confidence-boosting measures.
Yeah.
If those confidence-boosting measures do not take place...
Restoration of faith.
Yes. After all, we are talking about renewed hope. So if those confidence-boosting measures do not take place, and if you are not engaging these fellows constantly and getting them to understand that these are the steps you are taking, the suspicion, they will just conclude that they don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
We've told you they are not serious, they don't want to do anything. That is what is dangerous about what is going on, because if that notion manages to stick in the consciousness of people, that there is no desire to mitigate the ill effects of this subsidy removal, people will lose faith in government, and they will start telling themselves that we told you, they are not prepared to do it. So if you listen to the labor leaders, they are saying, look, we need meetings to take place where you assure us that this is what we want to do, this is what you are doing. Those meetings need to take place. If they don't take place, there's no way you can assure them that you want to solve the problem. And if there are problems, let them realize that this is the extent of the problem that we face.
That's it. Well, and it begs the question of, could labor not think out of the box, as they say? Must it be at the least prompting strike?
Well, that is I think that's the best they could do. That's the best weapon they have. So our greatest worry should be the taciturnity of this government. This government is not speaking. For example, you floated the Naira because you wanted to end arbitrage. What is happening now? You see, in the black market, what's the black market rate for dollars? And who is going to talk to us about that? People are saying that even fuel subsidies that you say you removed has come into the back door. You understand? People there's that. Who is going to explain that to us? This seeming unofficial removal, restoration of.
Let me rub this in. And there was this talk about Dangote refinery coming into the picture to ameliorate the situation. But nobody is. I mean, it's all when you.
A lot of we need. This government needs to speak and needs to explain. Nobody can talk about that. Labour is asking for meetings. There was a time they were even complaining that government was not serious. That the person, Femi Gbajabiamila, was in charge of the meetings. That he didn't have the time for them. Okay, a labor minister came on. The same thing. So it's we may blame labor and say, look, okay, all you know is strike. But that's the best weapon they have, because they are trying to shut down the nation. And look, people are speaking now. NEC is talking. Everybody is talking. I just hope that the president will also talk on October 1st.
I'm confident. We don't need to intimidate them with content proceedings. There's no need.
Yes, not necessary.
These guys need to be reassured. They need to be reassured, and there should be timelines. The Naira is exchanging to the dollar in the realm of 1,000 but it is not permanent. Dollar supply from the CBN to the I&E window has gone down because the CBN is trying to clear 8.6 billion backlog. Many Nigerians don't know this.
Exactly.
And the
That's the
minister
question.
said, look, once we clear it, the liquidity will improve.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree. When I read it, I said, oh, it makes sense because you are looking for foreign investors. If foreign investors are not convinced that they can repatriate their money, they will not come.
All right.
And those efforts that the president is making, they should not be in vain.
How many people know this thing you're talking about now?
All right.
That is
How many people know that this is the situation?
no, but
Even journalists don't know.
yes, well, that's because a lot of people don't read sufficiently.
All right, gentlemen, our business is to mold opinion, because we are not manufacturers. Okay? We want to thank you for coming. Biko, many thanks for your time. Paul, I thank you very kindly. And so on behalf of the Backroom Boys, I say thank you for joining us.